I just got to share kind of my introduction to Howard Hewett to everybody, and not personally, but the first time I experienced you. Because it had to be, 78, something around there. You know, we used to have Dinosaur, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, and I remember Shalamar coming on, and I was like, yo, because I seen Shalamar before, but this was different. And I said, oh, okay. And y'all had the steps, and and I was like, oh, so I knew I was going to grow up and be the fourth Shalamar. To the point, when I'm serious now, when the Big Fun album came out, me and my mom went shopping. There was this shirt that was like turquoise and fuchsia and yellow diagonal stripe with dolphins on it. I had to have this shirt and these turquoise linen pants because I was like, yo, that's like the Shalamar colors when I get out, and I was ready. Now, of course, as you age, you realize, yo, that's not what's going to happen. But I was already impacted by you. And then we have your experience with Shalamar. You know, you go through your years there, you get your Grammy, and then it's time for solo Howard Hewett. And I want to start there in terms of our conversation to find out were there things or what things you experienced and learned in a group that helped you think and center you for your solo career.
9 times out of 10, every group experiences the whole situation of people growing up, people maturing in their own right, and people having different agendas within their life, which none of that is wrong. All that is a part of developing, part of growing up, and especially as young as we were. I mean, I was 22. I think it was 22, 23 when I first, joined the group, and we were both Jeffrey's like 2 or 3 months older than I am. That's it. So he was the same age, and Jody was even younger. So we were all experiencing the beauty of of watching what we wanted to develop in our careers, watching it develop. Sometimes not even knowing, or being aware of the deepness, of what we were, the depth of what we were accomplishing, because, we had hit songs across the board, but we were young. I was having fun. Right. So, I mean, it was
right.
Yeah. I was
fun.
Yeah, I was big fun. There you go. And I was, it was something that I've been singing since I was 10 years old, and developed from Ohio and gospel, and then into the R&B situation. But being with a group, I think it taught me in a way discipline, discipline and understanding as far as certain things are concerned, as far as other people's agendas are concerned, being aware that, my agenda is not the only thing that matters as far as that's concerned. Now, when I went solo, then of course, then it's like, the buck stops here, as they say. And but with that, I think, being with the group, it taught me how to relate to, my musicians, the people that are working for me, and understanding and being compassionate and being, fair as much as you can be, because there's always that employer-employee, dynamic situation that happens even in that setting. But it's like, you have to realize, that musicians are important. When you have your band out there, it's important for everybody to understand each other. It's important to, figure out, how to be fair in certain things, how sometimes you have to, like that, for lack of a better term, lower the boom on somebody, or to make somebody understand what the dynamic of this whole situation is. Because musicians, they have a different kind of mentality, man. It's like, it's a delicate a delicate road that you have to go, that you have to deal with. I've said so many times, being with Elektra was amazing. It was a great company, but it had always been like, almost like you have a 12-cylinder car, you know what I'm saying? But you're only rolling on 6 cylinders. You know, Elektra was not the first company that I really wanted to go to initially when I first left Solar. But at the time, Solar had an agreement with Elektra. Elektra had this thing called first rights of refusal to as far as anything that would come off of Solar, which means that you had to take a proposal to them first, and then, you know, if they refuse it, then you could go on to somebody else and to another company, and solicit other companies. Which when I learned that, I told my attorney, I said, well, then, you know, let's just make this. So we got to take the deal to them first. He said, yeah. I said, well, let's just make this deal so ridiculous, money-wise, everything else, that they'll refuse it. And, you know, we can go on and go anywhere else we want to go. So we did that, and then took it to Elektra, and the cat Bob Krasnow, who was head of Elektra at the time, he says, okay, what else you want? You know,
right, yeah, and that story's in a lot of notes. Yeah,
the black department, the R&B department, did an amazing job at you know, placing Howard Hewett where he needed to be, and if I can be, you know, do the third party, you know, kind of thing, Howard Hewett where he needed to be. But, you know, it's like they did an amazing job as far as their, you know, promotion and their putting things where they were supposed to be, you know, going into their solo career. But the pop department never came to the table. The whole time I was with the company, the pop department never came to the table. And I would go into the guy's office. I forget what his name was here. He was here in LA, head of the pop department. I'm saying, you know, what's the deal? You're gonna tell me I'm for Real's not a good pop song? You're gonna tell me Show Me was not a good pop song? Come on, man. You know, it was crazy. So you know, we had our differences as far as that was concerned. I'm always the type of person where I'm gonna make the best, especially if this is a situation where I don't have any control over, which is a lot of things as far as this life is concerned. You know, you make the best of your circumstance. In other words, you deal with your circumstance rather than letting your circumstance deal with you. So I'm always gonna make it you know, a good situation for myself.
When we think about Howard Hewett and music, we'll think about duets.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are incredible, you and Roberta Flack. You know, as we send prayers out to Roberta Flack right now, that's one of my favorite tracks. But I'm going to ask you about working with Teena Marie and what that experience was like.
Yeah, Teena, that was my girl, man. And it's you know, because we go all the way back to when she first came out, when Rick first brought her out. And you know, we would do shows at Disneyland together, her and Shalamar, you know. Grad nights, I still get people coming up to me, oh, you and Teena Marie sang at our grad night, you know what I'm saying? Graduated in 81, something like that. And so, but it in the studio with her was like butter, man. It was the whole vibe. It was amazing just working with her, creating with her. You know, with the tune that we did, you know, that should have been a single as well. 2 weeks before she passed away, she and I were on the phone talking about doing another duet on the next project she was starting to work on. And then, you know, I told her, I said, you know, I love it. I love working with you. The combination of the voices are amazing. I said, but we really have to be, you know, look at this next situation and make sure that the people, the record company knows that we're doing this. And everything depends on the song. And, depends on, I understand that. If it's not a single sounding song, I'm not going to expect somebody to just put it out just because it's me and Teena. But I said, if we create something like we created before on this whole thing, vocally, the whole situation, I said that the single, they have to really be serious about, putting it out as a single, because, that would have been an amazing single to put out. And then 2 weeks later, she was gone. She passed away. She had passed away, but she was a good friend. Teena was a really good friend. Our history is like, was amazing. It was great.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Again, as we talk and things that I think, and then they come through in this conversation about your thoughtfulness and your intention around your work and what you do. And one thing I want to ask about, because I rarely hear people talk about this now, but as I listen again to the albums in this moment, and we're talking about voices and singing and duets, but also there's an attention that you have to background vocals. As I'm listening, I'm like, wow, the background vocals are striking. Where does that come from in you? Because it's clearly not an afterthought. Like you're thinking about it as much as you're thinking about the lead.
Yeah, because I believe everything in a song is important. The music, the backgrounds, lead vocals, melody, the lyric, everything. I think everything is a marriage. Everything has to work, within itself. The backgrounds aren't just afterthoughts. The backgrounds are intricate parts of the song. The music is not just, an afterthought. It's an intricate part of the song, lyrics, melodies, all that. And, it's important to me to have a whole complete thought. If you did a song and the backgrounds were just, secondary or whatever, then that's like an incomplete thought. A song has to be a whole complete thought, complete with everything, backgrounds, everything. And I believe that, that's been one of the things that, have allowed me to keep, writing the way that I write, because I do put, emphasis on all those different compartments, different, layers of a song. The song is like an onion. It has different layers. And so everything, and it builds to a certain point. It builds to a culmination of that thought, whatever thought it is that you're trying to project out there. And, you have to, like I listen to songs sometimes and it's like, okay, oh, wow, that's great. That's great. But then it just doesn't go anywhere. It stays linear, you know what I'm saying? And just straight across. Whereas a song is supposed to go here and then there and then there, culminate up here, up here. And even if you come back here after you're up here, like some songs go back to an afterthought, I call it. And then, but even that afterthought is like important, and it's an important part of the song. So everything is supposed to build and come to a head and then a conclusion, to that thought.
Right, the concluding thought. Yeah,
right.
So, like life, a song is a complete thought. Okay, I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna hold on to that because, like I said, even in some of the different songs we talked about, they do journey. Like we feel like we're going with you, and that is again why we stay connected with you, Mr. Hewett.
that's always been my my attempt, in my music, to take you on a journey with me. That's why a lot of times I'll say, you guys, we've been on this journey. We got a lot further to go, got a lot more to go. But, thank you for hanging with me on this journey, on this journey. And it went like the Elektra projects. It went from here to there to there to there. And then it kept on going. I had to continue it with the It's Time album and all that other independent stuff that I did, that afterwards. So that's always been important to me, to have my audience, go on a journey with me, go on a journey of life. This is a serious adventure, man, and we're here. Ain't none of us getting out of this thing alive, So right. So we travel this journey until it's time to lay down and then go to the next adventure, So it's all a musical journey, man, for as far as this is concerned.
Yes, it is. And we be getting them Howard Hewett passport stamps as we go along with each project, man. And
as you go, yeah.
Yeah. And the comment in the liner notes when you were going in to do the self-titled Howard Hewett album, and you said there was some conversation around house music. And it's interesting because this past summer, we have been in the house music, like house music never existed before. But you were thinking about it 30 years ago. So is there a song from your catalog that, because there is a trend of kind of doing house versions of R&B songs, soul songs, etc., and give them that different flavor. Is there a song of yours that you'd be like, yo, I'd really like to hear this now with a house beat on it?
There were so many different singles on the Look album, not just their giveaway and all that. But there's a tune on there called You're the One for Me. Man, I would love to do something, and just kind of revamp that song, check it out. It just the way that it is. Yeah, just the way that it is amazing. It's an amazing song. But man, to revamp it, put another kind of twist on it, especially with the different it'd be, with that groove. And I never did anything really house, I guess. I love the whole genre back, like you said, 20, 30 years ago. It was great, but I never got a chance to really explore that,
You're still here this time. And and side note, the look, let me tell you, that album, and I have to say this, as we talk about Shalamar, we got the Howard Hewett box set, but let's say this about Shalamar. Let's be clear to people who may not understand the connection and even the importance of Shalamar in music and Black music. Shalamar came out, y'all were young and fresh. And y'all went from kind of, okay, we know we Black, we supposed to wear the same outfits, do all that, to really being, the experimentation in look and in sound. The work with, Leon Silvers was given that anyway with a lot of folks, Come Give Your Love to Me with Janet. Like he was tuning into rock is part of our life like everything else. So the look in the album cover, and we said here's and this, and then, we were, it's, Shalamar really broke down some doors and some mental doors for people about what what Black music is or what Black music is supposed to be. So we want to just honor that out loud.
I always honor that. That's like, I look at, with the Look album, Day Giveaway was one of the only one that, it was us and Michael that were getting played on, that got played on MTV, which was crazy. Yeah. But the Look album, we were still exploring. We had started exploring some of the influences that we were experiencing overseas, because we were spending a lot of time overseas. But all we had to do was go on the road and because Jeff had that weird hairdo, which was cold-blooded, you know what I'm saying? And our whole thing, all we had to do was go on the road and promote the Look album. And then, you know, and show that we were still funky, whether we were whatever we were experiencing, we were still funky. And we never got a chance to do that because Jeffrey and Jody split before we got a chance to do that, you know.
To this point about broadening definitions, broadening what's supposed to be, you know, one of the things, and this would kind of get into our final part, is clear. As you talk and people read on the liner notes, and you brought it up even here, kind of the yes around the contract. Be careful what you ask for because you will receive it. Getting out of the contract. Your career has been a lot, even, you know, becoming a member of Shalamar, in the vibration of yes. And I think it is hugely due to your faith. And faith clearly plays an important role in your life. And I want you to share some of that, and also how you stay connected with faith, especially in the music industry.
Yeah, faith is everything in my life. God, Christ, the Holy Spirit is everything in my life. I mean, there's nothing that I do that like doesn't culminate from that, doesn't stem from that. Because, you know, we're supposed to thank the Lord, honor God, Christ, the Holy Spirit. We're supposed to thank him in everything. And even the bad times, even the crazy times, even the sad times, or the, you know, the hard times, or whatever. And I experienced just some things just recently, you know, I mean, within the last month or so, where it was some crazy stuff that went down, man, you know, and like, but once it was presented to me, I was like, you know, it was like a shock. But then, you know, after a minute or so, I'm like, hey, thank you, Lord. Thank you. And when you thank God and when you thank him, it raises you above the circumstances. You can like look at the but as opposed to, oh man, this is really jacked up. Then you're going down. Oh man, this is out of, then you're going down. Oh man. And the circumstances end up on top of you rather than you on top of the circumstances. So as far as it playing a part of my life, it is my life. You know, I every morning, it is my life. When we went through the pandemic, it was almost like the Lord said, it was not almost, it was like the Lord said, I'm going to remove everything from you that can distract you from me. You dig? And so, you know, everything from you that can distract you from me. And so, like, you know, I mean, I had, you know, my lady and I were together for about 6 years. We broke up right before COVID hit. So that distraction was gone. You know, a good partner of mine, known him since I was 20 years old. We would have been on the phone every day during the pandemic, during the shutdown. But he passed away. So that distraction was gone. But I had been through, you know, breakups. I've been married 3 times, you know, so three divorces. Right. I've been through breakups.
I'm gonna bring it up, but
yeah. I've been through breakups. I've been through death. My dad passed in 81 when I was 26. My mom passed in 92. And so, you know, but everything with the divorces, with the breakups, with the death, some of the saddest times in my life were spent on stage. Were spent, you know, entertaining, singing. I mean, my mom, when my mom passed, I went home, sang, you know, spent time with her before she passed, sang at the homegoing, and I was right back out on the road, right? So like the road and the you know, personal appearances and entertaining got me through those things. But it was like the Lord said, like God said, he said, I'm gonna remove everything that can distract you from me. So he took that away too. Personal appearances. We couldn't, just like everybody else. I couldn't go out on the road. So like, you know, that was taken away. The personal appearances were taken away. Then the next thing in my spirit was like, okay, now what you gonna do? You know? And so it was like when I built this house that I'm in now, I had them build this big deck right off of my master bedroom, right? And every morning from April, the beginning of April, May, around the middle of May, like I said, when I realized all that, and my spirit said, "What you gonna do?" Man, every morning, it was me and the Lord out on that deck. I started reading from Genesis all the way. It took a little over a year, but from Genesis all the way through Revelation. And I mean, he tore me down, he built me up. Tore me down, he built me up. Tore me down, built me up. I had never cried so many tears in my life that I cried during, you know, that period of time, and with me and him. And they weren't tears of they were tears of the majority of them were tears of joy, you know, of that relationship that I was solidifying. I'm gonna tell you, man, the pandemic was some of the most amazing time that I spent in my life, you know, building and spiritually building, you know, spending that time with me and the Lord. And like, you know, it was actually beautiful. It was actually beautiful. I kind of got off into that. Was that the
you good.
Yeah.
Like no. And listening to you now, it's interesting because as you talk about that, I think it's also important to share, and even in your work though, faith and your relationship with God has been so evident. Like when I thought about the house records, honestly, I was like, you could take To Thee I Pray,
yeah,
and put that with something, and that would burn. Like it's a powerful message, and it's just right. Listening to Jesus again, it's like you wrote that song yesterday. It's like the world we living in right now, and exactly. So you know these songs. It's clear that you've been there, and then we all know, and we can't walk out without talking about say amen. And what I want to share about that is, you know, a lot of us, I would say, especially when we think about older gospel music and the way things were messaged, you almost feel worse after you heard a song. But say amen, and why I think it resonated with people was it was so affirming. Now I'm gonna just read this lyric. I'm gonna let you talk, and I'm gonna read because I can't sing. Now, if in your heart you decide you want to blow, you go right ahead. But I'm gonna read this part. But to be without is not his will. No, there's cattle on 1,000 hills, and they're all yours to claim. Just claim them in his holy name. As you just talked about building up, and as you building through God. See, you don't have to beg or crawl. No, he'll be standing proud and tall. No, I mean, he'll see you standing proud and tall.
Right.
He'll get his everlasting love. Just come to him as you are.
As you are.
Like that, that kind of the standing, like that piece, we weren't as familiar with that. So where does that come from in you? Like understanding your relationship with God on that level?
That actually came from things that my mom used to tell me. You know, so my mom used to say, "Boy, you the king's kid. You're the king's kid. You know, there's cattle on 1,000 hills. Yeah, they're all yours. You know, yes, what's his is yours. You know what I'm saying? You're the king's kid. Come to him as you are." You know, writing that song, sometimes I even hesitate saying that I wrote it because it was, you know, such a blessing, and like I'm such an honor. You know, Monty and I talk about it a lot, you know, how much of an honor it was to be the vehicle that God chose, you know, to put that song, his song out there. So I write some stuff, throw it away. Finally, I prayed. I said, "Lord, when you're ready to give me your lyrics to your song, then just give them to me, right? I get on that plane, man, and I put my headphones on, listen to these other tracks, and then this real rough cut of Saying Man came on, and I'm sitting there and I'm just listening, and then it's like it just started coming down. You know, it's time to say goodbye from now. I thought about second time around. We'll have our second time around, you know, but before we go, there's something I got to say. Everything's not what it seems. There's a stronger force behind the scenes. He's in our lives every day. He's right there when we call. And him is where our strength lies. I lift my eyes beyond the skies. Only he can save my life, and only he can hear my cry. I want to thank you, God, for giving me one more chance. And then second verse, I'm writing. There was this older lady sitting next to me, and I'm writing, man. And second verse, I know there's some who don't believe. Sometimes very hard to see. We live this whole life every day. Some things don't go your way. But to be without is not his will. There's cattle on. I started thinking about my mom, you know, what she used to tell me. There's cattle on 1,000 hills. There's golden cattle on 1,000 hills. They're all yours to claim. Everything. You're a child of God. Everything belongs to you. You are heir to his throne. And there's nothing that can take that away from you. And it's all, I mean, it's just, and every album, every solo album from that point on, and every solo album I ever do, you know, will always have an inspirational song on it.
So, Pastor Hewett, you talk about a journey.
You sound like my mom. My mom she used to always say, "You're gonna be a minister." I said, "Mom, I ain't gonna be no minister. I have a ministry, but I ain't."
Well, there you go. Right.
You know, I you know, that's something I believe. You know, you have to be called to. That's not something that, you know, you make the decision. Oh, I'm gonna be a pastor, a minister. You got to be called to that. I mean, it's like the Lord has to say, and for me, he'd have to like pop me upside my head.
Like you said, you have a ministry, and clearly your yes was through music. And you continue to be in that yes in terms of sharing very intimate stories that put you out in the world. And I say, especially as a man, as a brother, as a Black man, you know, you're telling the stories. We be like, no, I don't want nobody to see me like you're giving us a reality that, yo, I wasn't the only one that decided to go back and then was like, what was I thinking? Yeah. Like you're sharing that. So we appreciate the yes that you said yes to. Now that you say you're back on the road, you're touring, tell us about, you know, what's coming up with Howard Hewett. What's going on and what's coming up with Howard Hewett?
You know, it's like a lot of stuff now. There's some things that I'm working on, some, you know, soundtrack scoring stuff. It's basically done with me and my son. You know, my son is really, really heavy, you know, off into the whole, you know, scoring thing and syncing and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, but, you know, personal appearances, the branding is important to me. I have a hat line that you can go to MikeTheHatter.com. You can go on there and, like, you know, just punch in, you know, Howard Hewett hats or whatever. It'll go to the things that, you know, that I put out there. You know, it's just and personal appearances, you know, recording. My son and I've done some stuff that I'm really interested in putting out. I'm enjoying the things that I worked, you know, for all these years, and, you know, enjoying being home when I can be home.
I hear you. And again, finding the balance. So just so people remember, MikeTheHatter.com. So
MikeTheHatter.com.
Right. If you want to be on a cruise for 3 weeks, you're Dave Cos. Definitely, folks out there, check out Howard Hewitt's Facebook fan page.
Exactly.
And I guess you're on IG, Twitter, all the stuff. So find
I
Howard Hewitt.
I don't deal with Twitter too much anymore. They got kind of crazy.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can only manage one. Like everybody know me. No, look, just go to Facebook. He ain't trying to talk to you nowhere else. So wherever you can find Howard Hewett, you find Howard Hewett. So is there anything else you want to share with people before we close out?
Well, on the Instagram page is Howard_Hewett. And then Hewett is Hewett. They've been trying to get me to spell it ITT since kindergarten, but it's ETT. And also always look for that verification emblem, you know, the blue verification emblem with the check in the middle of it, because it's like, you know, there's a lot of perpetrators out there, a lot of people, you know, trying to live life vicariously through, you know.
Yeah. That's a nice way to put it. Okay, that's a nice way to put it. Okay. Well, we know we got the real Howard Hewett here.
Yeah.
Howard Hewett that is responsible for the I'm For Real box set, the Elektra Recordings from 1986 to 1992. Thank you for joining us here on Soul Talkin'. It's soulmusic.com, and you can check us out there. Go ahead, sir. Oh, I thought you were getting ready to say. I thought you were getting ready to say. Oh, okay. No, well, definitely check us out. Oh, see, here we go. But you can find us also on YouTube. Wherever we are, you know how to find us. Odu Adamu, Mr. Howard Hewett, we thank you all for joining us on this episode. All right, peace.
God bless you, man. Peace.